Ladies and gentlemen, we will soon be approaching our next stop, Platform 29 at the Harvey House. This is an overnight stop, so please gather your belongings and be ready to disembark the train.
Looks like we've newly arrived at my Harvey House. There, first-class accommodations and dining await. First, we're going to need to take a slight detour of our own. In an ecstatic effort to wean the nation off fossil fuels, significant advancements were made in the technology of enhanced geothermal energy. Traditionally, geothermal energy was sourced from naturally occurring heated underground aquifers, the obvious limit to which was nature herself, as heated aquifers are rare. Or rather, that was until we built our own.
Engineers transformed the plains of the Badlands into one of the largest enhanced geothermal sites. All it took was fracking the landscape by drilling deep into the earth and pumping vast amounts of water underground. The water is naturally heated by Earth's radiant energy and comes back up to land as steam. Steam, which is then harvested and separated. Wet steam is released, and dry steam is transported back to massive steam turbines, which generate vast amounts of electricity.
Though, there's a problem. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the central United States was a vast but shallow body of water called the Western Interior Seaway. Everything in between the Rocky Mountains and lowlands west of the Appalachians was a big ocean, and South Dakota's Badlands were underwater plains, pierced only by tropical islands and atolls. Eventually, in the Paleocene, after dinosaurs went extinct, the seaway dried up, which left all of the plains and eroded buttes now found across the Badlands. See, the rocks and land left over was predominantly sandstone cemented together by calcium, an element known for its certain reactions with water. So when the engineers started pumping water into the land, they found that steam wasn't all that was coming up.
The sheer amount of highly pressurized water pumped into the ground reacted with the calcium. This is a universal construction principle. Water and calcium make bones, cave formations, and add some rock into that mix, you get concrete. So here on this scale, the sandstone landscape, pumped full of water, began sprouting up numerous geysers, a geological reaction that takes nature millions of years. Humanity did in a factor of months. And of course, what else do geysers bring up? Water. Through the enhanced geothermal fields, humanity brought back the Western Interior Seaway. After hundreds of millions of years, the shallow sea has returned, and with it, the end of our current Holocene and the start of the Anthropocene, where humanity is now controlling the course of geology.
At the latter half of the 19th century, traversing the great westward expanse was a long journey, coast to coast in most cases, taking 1 to 2 weeks, with many unpleasant stops. While trains would resupply at stations, passengers were stranded out at train stops, rough places, with no real consistency in lodging or food. At least, that was until the 1870s had brought about the nation's first hotel and dining chain, the Harvey House.
A business chain named after the founder, Fred Harvey, with locations all up and down the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe railroad lines. Harvey's business model was quality. As ATSF trains stopped for resupply, passengers were greeted with considerably first-class dining, beds, and architecture. Beautiful buildings framed against rural America was then the site for weary train passengers who'd be among the first to experience the start of civilization's encroachment west. Now, with the changes brought on by the Anthropocene, I have resurrected the Harvey House program for new train journeys.
While this here train charges up, lodgings await inland.
From here, platform 29, the trek is a short half-mile trek across the signs of the Anthropocene. You'll ascend the Badlands' buttes and pinnacles, navigate newly minted geysers, and before reaching the Harvey House, pass through the Gatehouse, which unlocks perhaps the most spectacular view of the shallow sea yet. Enjoy the walk, and please watch out for falling rocks and uneven terrain. Along the trail, you'll find endemic prickly pear cactus, Great Plain yuccas, buckwheats, and all the craggy trees, Rocky Mountain juniper, chief habitat for local birds and bighorn sheep. But long before all of this wildlife was taking refuge up in these cliffs, dinosaurs roamed through. The Badlands are especially rich in fossils. You might even spot a dig happening along the path. Paleontologists have been forced up to these parts as the plains continue to flood over from all of the geothermal pumping. The geothermal plants aren't too far from here either. As the canyon opens up, you get a sweeping view over the plains, with the monolithic towers way out in the distance. Geothermal contamination, however, didn't stop there, as now we have geysers that have begun to infiltrate the cliffs. Granted, crossing over has proven to be an especially fun activity for the guests who are treated to grand views of the plains, and directly below, terraced geyser stacks. Those with a keen eye will spot the hotel's water tower, our next stop, which is just up ahead on the other side of this old mining tunnel. After exit from the old mining tunnels, the water tower, hinted at from the bridge, comes into view. At its base, the Geyser Fields. Here lies the full extent of the land's deformations brought on by the Anthropocene, and you, my guest, must cross before reaching the Gatehouse where your lodgings await. The trail ahead is a soup of boiling geysers and winding paths, woven together by an elevated platform that rises above the terraces and regulates the space into an axial direction. To reach the platform, you climb a flooded path that soon gives way to the elevated deck, but keep watching your step as the floor is slippery from geyser mists that flank the platform's sides. After crossing over, the path picks up enough vertical give to spiral around, descend beneath, and clear the decking. From above, you can see a ring road that provides easy access to platform 29 for the hotel staff. To manage this hotspot of thermal activity, heated water and steam is pumped beneath the water tower and used to power the hotel's own steam turbines, while large pipelines carry off the excess. Crossing towards the other side of the water tower stages a scenic look back at the bridge, a reminder of where you've been before your trek comes to an end upon arrival at the Gatehouse. The excursion up from platform 29 can be taxing, so before the final push towards the hotel, guests are encouraged to take a brief rest stop if needed. Now, on your ready, the stratum gate will slide open, and we begin the last descent down to the hotel. Past the stratum gate, the walkway bows in accordance with the route of an old minecart line, where, at the end of, an illuminated corner window teases the front of the new Harvey House. At the corner landing here is the Ammonite Grill, our first-class dining venue, located at an inlet to the shallow sea, the perfect site in which to view the full extent of this new landscape. To counterbalance this expansive view, descension compresses the space down towards the entry. Broadside windows coincide with the inside's lobby, further engaging the site with the landscape. This natural connection to the site composes the architectural design. Long axial forms correspond to the vast horizon of the sea. And in the same manner of geyser development via water and calcium, concrete is the principal building material, a hybrid mix of nature and man-made brutalism.
Start of the 1950s, brutalism was transcribed into architectural lore. Famed architecture historian Rainer Banham distinguishes it as a new design philosophy, a bit detached from the direction of most modern architecture. Delineation was based on designers following three key pillars. 1. Legibility of floor plan. 2. Structural systems are exposed and expressed. 3. Materials should appear as if they're found in nature.
You'll find that the design of my Harvey House rather intuitively follows these concepts. A single linear axis and plan with straightforward pathing. In section, deep structural beams support a cantilevered floor, where above is dining at the Ammonite Grill. Up close, the materials remain in an unpolished state. Wood is unpainted, steel is corten, bronze patinas, and concrete is like a raw stone. But we've lingered long enough outside. Let's turn inwards towards the lobby.
Welcome to the new Harvey House. This is where you would normally be checked in and shown to your room. But of course, your arrival was already expected. During your trek up from platform 29, passenger luggage was sequestered from the train via an underground tunnel and now awaits at each guest's respective room. For you, that looks to be room 13. And I must inform you of this evening's entertainment in the organ hall. It isn't to be missed.
In the meantime, the lobby is decked out with lounge seating or sit back and recline at the stone-carved fireplace. In regards to the decor, I've curated a collection of old trinkets and 19th century antiquities found locally here in the Badlands. These pieces accompany the naturalistic theming that reaches its apex with the central pendant light. And above that, set dressing meets architecture, where the rafters upon which the light is suspended from touch down at an upper reading nook, a private alcove above the lobby. Also up the stairs from the lobby is the entrance into the Ammonite Grill restaurant. In fact, the whole plaza adjacent to the grill is designed to be a central hub connecting the outdoor dining deck, lobby access, and our next destination, a long axial hall exposed to views looking down at a big cantilevered rock formation that appears to be floating atop a bed of mist. This is the Calcinated Shelf, with the hotel pool and spa beneath. The architecture here delves deeper into brutalist forms that follow the pockmarked look and linear direction of the Calcinated Shelf. Anchoring the end of this axis is the visual payoff of a cantilever ballroom that rests above a system of segmented water channels. Upon entry into the Guesthouse, the roof canopy slides apart and rays of sun illuminate the guest rooms. What's outside is reflected within, and the space inside follows an elongated axial direction with many openings to the outside. You will feel a cave-like spatial presence here. The hall acts as a semi-private buffer between the privacy of your own room and the public exposure outside the hall. Like how a painting is condensed and privatized by the confines of a frame, views of the landscape are similarly circumscribed by the architecture. Best we be moving along now. The show in the organ hall is starting soon, and we want to make it in time for a good view, not to mention drink orders, which are available at the top of the organ hall by the fire pits and skylights. For the less social guests, more private alcoves are located at lower levels. The whole space is 4.5 stories tall, in between multiple vantage points and nooks to see the show. Above and around, the architecture here is quite intense. Monumental concrete forms hang like stalactites in a cave, shadowed by directional sunlight piercing through the skylights above. Spatially, it may seem rather abstract and formalist, but it will all make sense when the show begins.
This is where we part ways, but I leave you in good company. Your entertainment, the Grand Calliope. By breaths of primordial steam inhaled from the depths of the Geyser Fields, through these great pipes, she will awaken to sing about old railroad lines. An anthem on the resurrection of old patterns in a new time. Watch out for flashing lights and enjoy the show.